How to do a partially open wall. In this video, we'll discuss how to create a partially open wall. Creating such a wall is sometimes very necessary, of course, and because PostFrame Manager gives you wall-by-wall control, it makes the process of doing so very easy. In this example, we'll create a partially open wall on the north side of a lean-to that is attached to our primary structure. Here's an important tip before we begin. In this case, we have a lean-to on the north side of the primary structure. We need to know the interior or ceiling height of the lean-to before specifying the elevation where we want the partial wall to begin. That's going to be dependent on the type of roof you specified and the settings you chose when you drew the lean-to begin with. To check that, bring up the navigation menu and click on Roofline Shape. It should specify Mono Lean-to as the roof type. But then note whether Force Matching Elevation is checked. It should be. If not, the elevation will automatically be set at 8 feet. Also, check the amount of offset specified in the window to the right. If it's 0, then the lean-to roof will begin at the eave of the primary roof. If any other number is specified, the lean-to roof will begin that many inches below the eave of the primary roof. To figure the interior or ceiling height of the lean-to, you can do it the hard way by multiplying the width of the lean-to times the roof pitch and subtracting the result from the eave height of the primary structure after you figure that, and so on. But a far faster and easier way to do it is by simply bringing up the navigation menu by clicking within the outline of the lean-to, then clicking the elevation menu item. That will tell you the ceiling height instantly. In this case, that's 12 feet 11 inches. There's one more thing to keep in mind. If you have a truss carrier or girder specified on this lean-to, you will want to make sure that board is covered by your specified steel siding. To ensure that, take the elevation and subtract the width of that board. That will equal the partially open wall height value that you will need to use. So, if we're using a 2x10 truss carrier, for example, the true width of that board is 9 1/4 inches. Subtract that from the ceiling height of 12 feet 11 inches and round it up to the next even number, you end up with 12 feet 2 inches. If you want a fully open wall on this side of the lean-to, that's the number you specify, the elevation where you want the partial wall to begin. Okay, next we'll click on Edit Building Wing Attributes from the navigation menu to go to the now familiar Primary Attributes menu listings. There are two menu items that are vital to specifying a partially open wall. They are both found under the Frequently Adjusted Tasks menu. Logically enough, it's labeled Partially or Fully Open Walls. Click the plus in front of that item, then choose the wall that we want to be partially open. In this case, that's the north wall, so we'll click the plus in front of North Wall. The first item is Fully Open Wall. When we click it, we're presented with the option to make the entire wall open by clicking the checkbox shown. In this case, because we want steel covering the truss carrier or top girt on that north wall, the wall is not totally open, so we'll leave that item unchecked. Next, click the item labeled Set Girts for Partial Opening. This is something we must be concerned with for a partially open wall, so we'll click on that item. When we do so, the instructions for creating a partially open wall are detailed on the right. We want to choose a girt package that specifies the height where we want the side wall to begin. Click the drop-down shown to see all currently available choices. When you scroll down the list, you will see there are a number of partially open wall girt spacing configurations already available. I can choose any one of those options. Because we know the true height at which we want our sidewall steel to begin on the north wall is 12 feet 2 inches, we simply scroll down and choose the 12-foot 2-inch partially open wall option. If you want to see what that girt configuration file contains, click the Edit Custom GRT File button below the drop-down window. The girt spacing file instantly appears. This file has just one girt being specified at 146 inches or 12 feet 2 inches. Then I'll close the file and accept my choice by clicking the button on the right. While it's a little off the subject, what is important to know here is that you can create a custom GURT file for virtually any configuration you want. For example, scroll down to the Custom GRT Files at the bottom of the window. Click on any one of them. Then click the Edit Custom GRT Files button to see what that file contains. In this case, the file shows a GURT will be specified at 24 inches, a 2x6 GURT at 42 inches, another GURT at 65 inches, and another at 88 inches. These spacings will reflect your default GURT size, so if your default is already set to 2x6, all of these GURTs will be 2x6. If the default is 2x4, they will each be 2x4s except the one that has been changed to a 2x6. Just remember one thing: no spaces after the numbers and no empty lines between listings. The point is that you can specify anything you want, then save it by clicking the Save As option under the File menu and give it another name you'll recognize later. That GURT configuration will now be saved in the Options window so you can choose it whenever you like. There is one more item we need to check to ensure the wall is partially open. That's the splashboard setting on the north wall. This is a critical point. The setting is found under the same Partially or Fully Open Walls menu we visited previously. We have the north wall selected. Next, we have to set the splash count to 0 as indicated on the menu, because we obviously don't want a splash specified if the wall is going to be partially or fully open. Change the splash count on the right to 0 and then click the Accept button to save that change. Now that all of the necessary selections have been made, click the Return button to go back to the building outline. To check your work, launch the navigation menu again and click on Show 3D Building. Then maneuver to the wall you want to look at. If it isn't correct, go back to the Attributes screen to check your settings and make any necessary adjustments. This ends the Creating a Partially Open Wall instructional video.